Hey there, it's Uncle from TacticalGamer.com, back here again for another tutorial. I'm going to combine three different topics in here instead of making three really super short videos because there's a bit to this. One topic is zone restriction. How do you restrict players from entering a particular zone? This is very important in team versus team scenarios where you want a team to be able to spawn in a safe zone, be able to get organized, get geared up before they leave that zone, and have such situational awareness, right, when they leave and go into a hostile area. You don't want the enemy team to be able to base camp them and just kill them as they spawn. So zone restriction is useful for that. Now, there is zone restriction module from Bohemia, which I will show, which is not good for multiplayer use because, and I'll show you why. And I did my own zone restriction, which is very similar, and I'll show you how I set that up and how that works. And actually, yeah, then I'll do another video after that, and I'm going to show you how to use the script that we're using for the zone restriction, or any script that you ever create, how to turn it into a function that's loaded into memory, and so that it'll run much faster. I found when I was doing the team versus team scenarios that frame rates were getting up there because I had a lot of stuff that needed to be processed client side. When I stopped using execute VM or XVM to launch scripts by reading them off the hard drive, and we're preloading them into memory and using them as functions already loaded into memory, I got easily a 15 frames per second increase in performance for anybody that connected to the server. So that's very important to do. So maybe I'll do that in a second video right after this one. Okay, getting on. What we're going to do is go to the modules, and let me see where this was. I don't remember off the top of my head. Is it multiplayer? No, it's going to be other. There was zone restriction. Okay. Zone restriction will apply to groups of synchronized objects or synchronized objects. Okay. Is it an inverse border? An inverse border requires that you need to be outside of a zone, or if you, a regular border would be that if you enter that zone, then you would get a warning and you'd be killed. You can specify the warning time, how long you have to get out of a particular area. You can do a custom warning, all right? I'm not going to use that, but I have, and a custom punishment, right? Something like, what does it say? The affected unit is this. So if I went this set damage 0.8, then it wouldn't completely kill somebody as a punishment. Or I could put in a piece of code, right, and have it sort of damage somebody over a period of time until they leave the area. Anyway, I'm just going to leave this as default. So how it basically works is I'm going to synchronize it to my one-player unit, and I need to create a trigger that will create that area. So let's say I want something like this. Okay, I'm just going to create just across the street there as my protected area. So I'm not going to bother putting a marker. We know that's these buildings that are to the east of where I'm spawning in. All right, and basically I'm going to set the activation to be blue 4. It's present, and then repeatable. All right, that's all I need to do for the trigger. Now, what we'll do is we synchronize this to that zone restriction module, and that should do it for us. The problem with this is that module is initialized right now when the multiplayer scenario gets going. This is fine for single player use. If you're creating single player missions, you don't need to worry about this. All of my tutorials are basically about multiplayer, and the problem with that is now that my module has been initialized, it's synchronized to all players that are in the game. If I had more players who joined in progress, the module would not be sunk to them because that player didn't exist when the module was initiated. Okay, so this does not work for multiplayer. Oh, this requires that I be in the zone. So, right. Now I'm clearly in the zone. I won't get that. So I had it reversed. Oh, what the heck is that? Oh, interesting. So I guess it's placing a mine beside me. Yep. So that should be it. I should be all right. Not sure why I saw that text, but I'm not getting any more of it. All right. Oh, yeah, it's going to kill me. So something didn't get set up right. Must be in how I did the trigger. If blue 4 is present, then do that. Okay. And my zone restriction, an inverse border, I guess I do want that. That I have to be outside of that trigger. Okay, that makes sense. Let's make this a little tighter. And make it a square. A little easier to understand what's going on. So as soon as I get close to that building across the street. Okay, that should do it. It has been a while since I messed with this, probably like a month and a half, and I only used it for a few short days, actually probably 2 months. When I first started the Team versus Team series. So yeah, I'm not getting it now. So what this means is I have to be outside of that trigger. Once I enter it, get close to the square that's around this building, then I'm going to get a warning. And if I get out of here, I should be all right. Nothing happens. But if I do get in here, then it's going to place the mine beside me and blow me up. Which I didn't like, because in a multiplayer option, I didn't want a mine to go off and, in a friendly base and have then, a player that's supposed to be in that base get blown up because of a mine being placed. It seems to be taking longer than 10 seconds. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's the reason why I would use the custom damage part, because you don't need an explosion to destroy players that your zone restriction isn't intended for. So that's why I did custom punishment, this set damage 1. Alright, so anywho, like I said though, this is no good for multiplayer use. So I'm going to set up a script that I called zone restrictor. Okay, so what I'm going to do is if blue 4 is present, I'm simply going to run a script. All right, what would it be? Zone restrictor. I'm going to just create a variable. Is going to be, I'm going to pass, basically execute this script, vm zone restrictor .sqf, and I need to pass who is in this trigger to that script. So this list is all the objects in this trigger, right? So these pop-ups are so great in the Eden editor. Makes things so nice and easy. So this list, I'm going to pass this entire list to there. Okay, now let's jump over to the text editor. Okay, in the text editor, I am going to create a new script, zone restrictor .sqf. All right, edit it in Notepad, and I'm just going to paste in my existing script. I'm not here today to tell you how to script this. Basically, I need the name of the trigger passed in that, so we'll fix that later. Having comments on the top of your scripts are always good, because I had just needed to name the trigger in the editor and then call this script and use the... Okay, so we'll set that up again and fix that. So basically it's saying that it's getting the trigger that was activated. Then it's finding that if the player is inside the activation units of that trigger, so if the player is in that group of units that were in the zone or activated the trigger, all right, but if a player wasn't in that group, then it's just going to exit the script without doing anything. Just a little bit of a fail-safe there, so in case it somehow activated on a player that it really shouldn't have, it's just going to exit the script without doing anything to that player. Then it's just going to send a group chat message saying the return to your assigned area immediately, and it's going to set up a value, a variable for play sound warning is equal to true. Okay, so in order to use this new variable, I'm going to have to want it initialized somewhere. So let me just go back to here and then go back to my init player local. I'm going to add another initialization for a variable here. What was it called again? Play sound warning. So play sound warning equals false. All right. And we're going to use this variable just to set off another trigger that's going to play a sound when you enter the zone. So you also get another indication that you're entering an area you shouldn't. And then it's also going to use the cut text option to give you text in the middle of the screen. So you get text to the lower left, text in the middle of the screen, and you're going to hear a sound. So there's no excuse for not noticing this. And then fade out the text in the middle of the screen after 5 seconds. It sleeps for 7 seconds and then checks that if you're still in the trigger area, then it's going to set your damage to 1. It's going to tell you that you've been killed for leaving your assigned area. But if you have left, if you're not in the trigger list, then it's going to say that you have cleared the unauthorized zone. Okay, and for this case, because I don't need to have this double check, this was something that I had for my team versus team scenario, I could just leave that all out, like delete all that stuff right there, and then that, and it would work just the same. But I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Okay, so let's get back to the editor and fix the variable that we passed to the script and get the sound trigger set up. Okay, so I'm back in the editor. I needed to pass, you can see this trigger is an option, so I don't even need to name the trigger necessarily. I can just say this trigger. Alright, but still, let's name the trigger so on the left side of the screen it's going to show me which is which, right? Okay. So restriction trigger 1. Alright, now that should work just fine. Alright. Now, right, I wanted to set up a sound, so I'm going to set up a trigger with no area. I'm just going to name it so I know what it is. Warning sound. The condition would be play sound warning. So if player sound warning is equal to true, it's going to just then, I'll do this in order. I'm going to go down to the effects. I'm going to choose a sound. Let's see. Something a lot of these sounds from cups, I'm not sure how well they work. Firing drills, let's see. Let's see what this one sounds like. Nope, I need something louder. That's not too bad. Okay, that sounds more like something's not good. Okay, so when play sound warning is true, then it's going to play that sound, and I also need to just set play sound warning is equal to false once it's played that sound, make it repeatable, and that is it. This will only execute locally for the player that enters that zone, right? So play sound warning as a global variable for this client. All the different scripts that run on the client are going to be able to access that variable, but it's only local to that one machine, or global to the one machine, to be more precise. Let's give it a shot. Now this will work for join in progress players because it is all initialized in the init player local script, so multiplayer compatible. It's a good thing to remember anytime you're using the Bohemia zones. I think the endgame modules were written for multiplayer use, and I think a lot of the other ones are written for single player, but somebody from BIS would chime in. Oh, there we go. Pardon me. But if I get out of the area, I have cleared the unauthorized zone, right? And if I don't, oh, I didn't get the buzzer a second time, so something was not exactly right. So that works pretty much as intended. I just need to find out why my sound didn't work again. And that's probably something just as simple as that trigger I missed. A little something something. I did make it repeatable. Play sound warning. Oh, I did player again. Holy cow. That's why. So, there. That would work. Now, next video is be pretty short. I'm going to take this, and instead of running it from the hard drive with execute VM or exec VM, then we're going to turn it into a function. And this is Uncle from tacticalgamer.com. Mission on.